So they just broke my water and gave me drugs. I'm really happy. It's a good day. Good day to have a baby.
Say hi, mamas. Say hi, I'm Kash Rose. What's up, world? See, my mom's gonna tell you how I came into the world today. Oh, yeah. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys have been doing amazing. We've got a visitor today, little Miss Kash Rose. She's here. She has arrived in all of her splendor. The queen has arrived. She's perfect. She's amazing. Yeah, I still am like tripping out that she's actually here. Like, it just blows my mind that she was like literally in the last video in my belly, and then now she's chilling like here in person. It just blows my mind. So crazy. She is 15 days old today. She turned 2 weeks yesterday, and honestly, I can't complain. Like, she is a chill kid. Sean and I literally, we talk about it, like, we're blessed. She definitely has her moments where, you know, she cries, especially if she's hungry. I call her my little hungry hippo. So she definitely has her moments, but she really is an amazing baby. I am gonna do, my next video will be, you know, day in life with a newborn, postpartum. You might hear her kind of grunt a little bit because she just ate a little bit ago, but anyways, so that'll be in my next video. I'll let you guys know how I'm doing. I'll update you. I'm officially down 15 pounds. I gained 25 in my pregnancy. I weighed myself today and I'm down 15, so I've got 10 more to go. And my stomach is pretty much flat. We just have a little bit of, you know, a little extra fat to lose, but I'll show you guys that as well in my postpartum video. And I am gonna do a video on like my tips and tricks for a fit pregnancy. Obviously, you know, there are things that I couldn't control because of genetics, but there are things that I did do throughout my pregnancy to set myself up for success postpartum. And I really think that the things I did have really helped. And because like I said, I've had, you know, I'm functioning. I went to Target today. I did get a little tired from going to Target, but I'm walking, I'm good, I'm not in any pain, and yeah, so I'll be sharing some of those tips and tricks in my postpartum videos to come. But in this video today, I wanted to share with you my positive birth story. I know there's a lot of birth stories out there. Every birth story is different, obviously. You know, I know there's things that you just can't control when it comes to labor and delivery, but I know when I was pregnant, hearing some of the stories, I was like, just please stop. Please don't tell me anything else, because I'm trying to keep my mind in a good place, and this story is definitely not helping. And so I thought sharing my story with you guys might encourage you, for those of you that are pregnant and obviously going to be giving birth soon, or for those of you that aren't pregnant and you're just like, the thought of having a baby literally scares the bejeebies out of you, because, you know, it did for me. I blocked it out for pretty much the 9 months I was pregnant, and then the day before I was to be induced, I was like kind of hyperventilating, because I'm like, this is actually happening. We're having a baby, and she's coming out of that area, you know, like a head that's, you know, this big. It's coming out of that area, and I started to kind of hyperventilate a little bit. I was like, okay, we can do this. She's smiling. You're so cute. I love you. Anywho, so yeah, so I wanted to share with you guys my positive birth story. There's gonna be clips throughout this vlog for you guys to see. It's kind of like my birth vlog / birth story. I didn't get actual footage, obviously, of like the moment I gave birth. Yeah, you're gonna get to see some clips throughout the thing. So anyways, so we'll start from the beginning. So they induced me at 39 weeks. The reason why they induced me at 39 was they thought she was gonna be smaller throughout my pregnancy. She was measuring smaller, which we'll get to that in a minute. But anyways, she was measuring smaller according to whatever, I don't know, scans, things they do. And so, you know, they were like, okay, we're gonna induce you at 39 weeks because they were concerned that, you know, the longer they waited, there could be complications, because with smaller babies, they say that there's complications. So anyways, they were projecting her to be at like maybe 5.5 pounds. So a smaller baby, obviously, which clearly she's small, but she ain't that small. So we'll get to that part. in a minute. So yeah, so they'd set me to be induced. So the 14th was my induction date. So I called in the morning. I was supposed to go in at 10 and they weren't ready for me yet. So it was kind of, you know, dilly-dallying, waiting around. And then finally about noon they called and they're like, hey, you can come on down. And so Sean and I, we were planning on eating something before we went to the hospital. So we went and got a sandwich really fast at the grocery store. And literally we're sitting there and we both start busting up laughing. Like, we're like, this is actually, like we could not, we were uncontrollably laughing. And he's like, this is it. Like we're having her. Like, and I'm like, I know, like, I think we both just mentally blocked it out for 9 months. And then it was like, oh, she's coming today. So yeah, so we're sitting at the, you know, the grocery store eating our sandwiches, just cracking up. And Sean was like, you know what, babe? Like, you're gonna just laugh this baby out. Like, it was so funny that he actually said that. We'll get to that part of the story here in a minute. But yeah, so he's like, you're gonna just end up laughing this kid out. And I was like, really? That would be awesome. Like, that would be freaking amazing. So fast forward, we get to this, you know, the hospital, we check in, blah, blah, blah. They get me in my room and then they start talking about, you know, how they're going to induce me. So there's a couple different methods for those of you that are going to be induced. A couple of different methods. I did deliver at Kaiser. You know, they were great, amazing staff. So they were talking about which method they were going to use. So the method they went with, which it's called the balloon method. So for those of you that don't know what that is, basically they insert this balloon up your hoo-ha, you're welcome, and into your cervix. When I went in, I was only at a 1. So clearly, you know, we had to get some stretching going because this head wasn't going to come out at a 1, clearly. So they insert this like, it's a tube thing with a balloon at the end, and they like fill it up with water and it starts to like stretch your cervix. So that was the method they decided to go with because they were going to go with, there is one method where they insert this, it's like a, I don't know, it's some sort of a medicine that starts ripening your cervix, and they weren't sure how I would do on that. So they thought, okay, this method, we could at least take it out if there's any complications. So they insert the balloon, they, you know, start filling it up or whatever. And this thing had to stay in for 12 hours. And if I had stretched to a 4 or 5, I think it was a 4, the balloon actually would just like come out. So they're like, you'll know you're at a 4 if the balloon comes out. We'll leave it in for up to 12 hours, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, gotcha. Cool. The one like request I had, because they came in, they were like, okay, we want to know your birth plan. And I was just like, I just want drugs. Like, Sean was cracking up at me because I probably told every shift change when they would come in that my birth plan was to have drugs. For those of you that don't want drugs and you're going all natural, I root you on. You are my superhero. For me, I've never broken a bone. I've never had a tattoo. I've never even been in the hospital. So like, I didn't know my pain tolerance, and I didn't really want to find out that day. Like, pushing a baby out of my vagina wasn't really the, you know, the litmus test for me of how I handle pain. So I definitely knew I need drugs. Like, I'm getting an epidural, like that's my birth plan. Everything else can go out the window. Just, again, just give me drugs. So, anyway, so they insert the balloon, you know, and probably an hour into this thing being in, and let me pause there. They also had to hook me up to antibiotics because I apparently tested positive for, I don't know, some thing called group B. It's, I guess, a bacteria we all have in our body, and you can have an overgrowth of it apparently, and it can be harmful. So they will treat you if you test positive with antibiotics. At least this is what they told me. So I was hooked up to penicillin. Yeah, penicillin. The whole time I was in labor, and so they hooked me up to the penicillin, and the nurse I had at first did not put it on a slow drip. So if you've ever been hooked up to penicillin, you will quickly find out that that crap hurts. It burns. So my hand was literally on fire. My arm started locking up on me. And so at that point, you know, my arm's in pain. I'm starting to stretch. I'm feeling the pain of that. Then I start having early contractions because it's obviously kicking my body into, you know, early labor. And I was like, heck no, bro. Not a fan. Sean literally was like, babe, I can't do anything for you, because like every 5 minutes I was like, call the nurse, this sucks. I got to go to the bathroom at one point, and every time I get to the bathroom, I'd like be shaking because I was so cold. And I got to go to the bathroom and I was like, this is terrible.
Like, this is not fun. And mind you, I'm in early labor. We're not even in active labor yet. And I'm like, nah, bro. Like, I told Sean, I go, I don't know how women forget this. Cause you know, they say like, you forget the pain. I was like, you do not forget this. Like, you do not forget. So anyways, so I'm like, I am not happy. I'm not a happy camper. We're 2 hours into this. And I'm just thinking, dude, if I have to do this through the night, cause you can't get an epidural till you're at like a 4, you know, or a 5. So I'm like, if I have to do this through the night, I'm probably gonna punch somebody. Like, this is not, we're not doing this. And so anyways, so the night shift crew comes on and the midwife comes in, and you know, she could tell I was in pain. I couldn't even talk, you know, through the contractions. I was having to breathe. I was doing my 4 seconds in, 8 seconds out, you know, whatever I learned on YouTube because I didn't do Lamaze. So she comes in and she was like, she's from New Zealand. She was really awesome. She's like, we could give you something for the pain. You know, I don't know what accent that was. Just ignore it. It was terrible. And so I'm sorry, any New Zealanders, if I offended you. But yeah, so she offered me morphine and I was like, yes, like right now, please. Because again, my birth plan was I just want drugs and we're good. Like, that's all I need. So anyway, she comes in, she's like, we can give you some morphine, it'll take the edge off. And I was like, please, anything at this point, because they had, you know, started inducing me. It was like probably like 6 o'clock. So again, I'm gonna have to go through this junk through the night. I'm like, no, anything to take the edge off, please. So they give me the morphine, and within 15 minutes, I mean, I literally felt like I was floating. I was like, oh, and Sean, for those of you that don't know, you know, he used to race motocross, so he's been through quite a few injuries in his lifetime. He almost lost his arm, whole crazy story. He actually has like a skin graft on his arm, and you can like see the like ligaments. It's pretty crazy. So he had been in the hospital, you know, multiple times in his life, especially when he almost lost his arm, and he had been hooked up to morphine. So he's laughing at me in the corner, and I'm like, I understand why people do drugs. Like, literally, I felt like I was in a warm bath and I was floating, and I was so happy. I could not feel anything. And that junk lasted literally till I got my epidural the next day. No joke. I didn't feel anything through the night. Didn't feel any contractions. I was able to sleep. And I think because I'd never been in the hospital, I've never been hooked up to anything before, that I obviously was very sensitive to it. So that stuff lasted, like I said, like 12 hours. So the next morning, it's probably like 9 a.m. They came in, they checked me. And at that point, I was, I think, at a 5. And so they were like, you know, the balloon came out, we're good to go. And I'm still not feeling anything, y'all. So I'm like in hog heaven, because I'm like, this is great. I don't feel anything. I'm at 5. That means I can get my epidural, so I can go from one drug to the next. I'm like, yes, Lord, this is perfect. So, and I knew for sure I wanted my epidural before they broke my water, because I've heard that once they break your water, it's over. Like, that junk hurts. So I'm like, I didn't want to know what that felt like either. So I was like, you could bring in my epidural, we're good. The anesthesiologist came in, she gave me my epidural, and the nurse told me, she's like, you know, you are gonna, obviously, like, it's gonna numb you, but you are gonna feel the pressure. So you know, it's not gonna numb that area, your perineum or whatever, I don't know what it's called. So anyways, she's telling me, you know, it's not gonna numb that area, but you know, it is gonna obviously numb you up, and you are still gonna feel the pressure. And I was in my head thinking, no. See, we don't want to feel nothing. Me homegirl over here, yeah, I don't want to feel anything. I don't want to feel the pressure. In my head, I was like, Jesus, listen, you and I, we've had a conversation about this. I don't want to feel, okay? Like, pain was a result of the curse, okay, in Genesis, and I ain't under the curse no more. Jesus paid the price for that. So we're not doing the pain part. I don't want to feel anything. No pressure, no nothing. So, and I've heard people say, you know, even with an epidural, that they've had pain, they felt, you know, the ring of fire. I didn't want to feel any of that. And again, I know that some women, that is like, that they want to feel that, they want to go through that, it makes them feel empowered. And I think that's amazing. And I think it's great that we all have a different desire for our labor and delivery. And so yeah, gave me my epidural. It kicks in, this is about 9 a.m. on Tuesday, the 15th. And you know, I'm feeling good. I'm not feeling nothing. We're doing good at this point. I'm at a 5. They break my water. Well, shortly after breaking my water, they come in, and homegirl wasn't liking the fact that she didn't have any more fluids. So They had to put a tube up in me to pump fluids back in. So I'm thankful I'm numb at this point because I've got a catheter, I've got a tube going up me with fluids being pumped back, and they had to put a little like monitor on her head because every time I'd have a contraction, her heart rate would drop. So, you know, they were slowly introducing the Pitocin to me because they didn't want to, you know, stress her out, and she was already showing signs of stress. At one point they came in and they were like, you know, if she doesn't do well, we're gonna have to, you know, we're gonna have to look at having a C-section. And so thankfully we didn't have to go that route. At one point, which I did post this photo on Instagram, it was like the what you expect when you go in the hospital versus reality. So at one point they came in, they're like, okay, she wasn't doing well with me on my back. Like I wasn't progressing. And, you know, again, contractions, her heart rate would start dropping. So they were like, we need to get you up on your, you know, your hands or your elbows and your knees. So I'm like, I don't know how they expect me to do this because clearly I'm numb. I cannot feel my lower half. Somehow I was able to get up on all fours. I had my elbows resting on the back of the bed. They lifted the bed up like this.
My hair works. Oh, girl. Only you could see what's happening right now. I have all these fluids. I'm currently on my hands and my knees. I got an oxygen mask. I got a lot of wires. Hanging out of private places that they shouldn't be. And we're gonna make it through this. Because our daughter just wants to be complicated. It's really good. Good job, Kash. One day you're gonna see this video and you're gonna know how much I love you. And if you talk back to me, I'm gonna show you this video. So you're reminded how much I love you.
And so the nurse was like, how you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm great. I don't feel anything. Well, Sean's like, babe, that's the problem. Your legs are turning purple. So I know I said this is a positive birth story. It is, I promise. So my legs at this point are like turning purple because I clearly can't feel them and I'm cutting off circulation. So they had to readjust me. Well, I had to stay like that for like 2 hours on my hands and knees. We did it. And at that point, she, like that position kicked me up. During those 2 hours, I progressed a lot. And so, you know, we kept trying some different positions. I was like that. And then clearly they repositioned me so my legs weren't purple anymore. But yeah, that was not fun being up like that. So finally, I got to sit back down and we did some different positions to try and get, you know, her comfortable. It ended up working. Fast forward the story to about, I don't know, it was like about 8 o'clock at night. The new shift comes on and I get a new nurse, and she was awesome. She was the nurse who ended up delivering Kash. So she was a travel nurse. She's from Georgia and freaking loved her. She was amazing. She was this African-American woman, beautiful. She was like straight to the point, and she was just direct. And Sean loved her because Sean is very direct. And he was like, I like her. She's gonna get stuff handled. And we had, at this point, it was like, okay, people would come in, they would check me. It was like, what are we doing? Where are we at? Blah, blah, blah. And thankfully, you know, I'm still feeling this epidural. And it was so funny because they hooked me up to, you know, basically it was a pump. So it would administer, use my words, like every 15 minutes. And I would ask the nurses, I'm like, so that's not gonna stop, right? Like it's gonna keep going? Because I've heard the stories of people saying their epidural wore off. And I was like, it's gonna keep pumping, right? And they were like, yes, it's gonna keep pumping. It's not gonna stop. And I was like, okay, thank goodness. And Sean just kept laughing. He's like, seriously, I think all you cared about was making sure that the drugs worked. And I was like, heck yeah, bro. I was making sure those drugs were not gonna stop. So anyways, so the night shift the night shift nurse comes on, and again, she was freaking awesome. And she comes in and she checks me and she's like, you're at a 10. And she's like, I don't know what these people are waiting for. She's like, I'm not even from here. I'm a labor and delivery nurse from Georgia. She'd been in labor and delivery for like 28 years. And so she's like, we're gonna have it. She's like, here's what's gonna happen, okay? You're gonna push and we're gonna have a baby. And I was like, all right, like, let's do this thing. So anyway, so she was like, okay, she talked me through the whole thing. She was like, great, imagine you're taking the biggest poop of your life. I know it's graphic. This is the reality. So I was like, okay, you know, all right, got it. So she's like, imagine you're taking the biggest poop of your life. Like that's the area that you're going to use. And so it was actually really cool because it was very intimate. Like it was Sean. She had Sean actually stand like behind me. And every time I would go up to tuck my chin down, to push, she'd have Sean push on my back. So it like, I didn't strain my neck, and it helped me actually like, it helped the momentum and like the energy to push. I don't know, is crazy. And she had my mom on one leg. Sean's mom was in the room. So she was standing by the bed, and then the nurse had the other leg. So she's like, okay, I'm gonna tell you if you're doing it right. Now, mind you, I'm not feeling anything. And usually this is obviously a point of concern, because if you can't feel anything, that's why they want you to feel some pressure, because if you don't feel any pressure, then you don't often know how to push, and you can't feel to push. So she's like, my contractions are off the chart. She's like, do you feel that? And I'm like, no, because I prayed I wouldn't feel anything. So she was kind of concerned. She's like, I don't know how this is gonna go. Like, you're not feeling anything, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, well, let's just try it. So she, explained it all to me, and she's like, okay, you're gonna breathe. This is how you're gonna do it. You're gonna hold your breath, and you're gonna push down. And so I did it, and she's like, you got it. Like, that's the area. And she's like, I can see the head. It's like right there. So she's like, all right, let's do it again. So I got about like maybe 4 pushes in, and she was like, you're having this baby. Like her head was ready to go. Like it was ready to roll. And what's funny is the night shift, the new shift of staff comes in, the midwife, the doctor, and they come in and introduce themselves. And my nurse was like, she's ready to have this baby. And they were like, kind of like, oh yeah. And she was like, you want to show them what you can do? I was like, all right, let's do it. So she's like, okay, ready, here we go. So again, I'm not feeling anything. And I think the reason why I was able to like make the connection to that area was because I work out. And so working out, you have to make a muscle, obviously a mind to muscle connection. So I just knew as soon as she said like, that's the area, in my mind, I was able to lock into it. And I knew what area it was, even though I couldn't like feel anything. I just knew how to push there. It was super weird. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah. So again, I don't feel anything down there, like nothing. We were completely numb. So she has me push for the doctor and the midwife, and their faces were like, oh my gosh, like you're not kidding, like you're ready to have this baby. And so I push, and their faces are like, whoa. And then my nurse was like, you're competitive, aren't you? I'm like, yeah. And Sean was like, yeah, she's pretty competitive. So they go get all their stuff. They come in, and they get in position, and so they have me push again, and they're like, she's right there, like a couple more pushes and she's gonna come out. So they asked me, they're like, do you want to see, at this point, they're like, do you want to see your head? And Sean and I originally in the beginning were like, no, we don't want to, we were like, nah, I don't want to see it. Sean was like, I don't want to see that area, because he's a very visual person. But it's just crazy how in the moment there's this grace for it. Like, it's not gross. It doesn't feel gross. It's such a trip. So for those of you that are like, I don't want my husband looking, or your husband doesn't want to look, we were the same boat. I didn't want Sean to see, and it just kind of went out the window at that point, because it's just this, like, I don't know, it's such a miracle and such a moment that the grossness of it, when you're thinking about it before you give birth, it just goes out the door. So they brought a mirror over for me to see. Well, they brought the mirror over, and I can see her head, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like that's her head. And I made a joke, oh look, her head is cute, maybe she's gonna be cute. Me, I'm a nerd and I'm super awkward. So I make this joke, and all of this, the staff starts cracking up laughing, like the doctor's laughing, the midwife's laughing. So then I start laughing, and I kid you not, as I'm laughing, because the same muscles, her head is literally going boom, boom, boom. Like you could see her head, I was like literally laughing her head out, you guys. Like her head was literally like boom, boom. And then they were like, oh my gosh, if you keep laughing, you're literally gonna laugh her head out, which is so funny, because Sean and I literally, that morning when we went to get our sandwich on the way to the hospital, Sean was like, you're just gonna laugh her out. So literally, like, that was exactly what I was doing. So they're like, okay, one more push. And so I pushed again, and boom, she came right out.
I really took it. Oh, there it is. It was hiding. Thank you. You're perfect.
Oh, it really was a human in there. It's so crazy. Oh, mamas.
Everything.
You're so And yeah, and I didn't feel the ring of fire. I didn't feel anything. And I'm like asking nurses, I'm like, is this normal? As I'm laughing, and they're like, no, this is definitely not normal. Most women are in pain. And yeah, so that was it. She was born, I think it was 9/26 on Tuesday the 15th. And yeah, she was perfect. And that was the crazy thing, was my nurse was like, this is not a small baby. I mean, she was small, she's 6'12", but that's a healthy baby. She wasn't small by, you know, the terms that they were thinking that she was gonna be, this little thing. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but she wasn't small. I don't know, she had been hiding in there somewhere, somehow. But yeah, she came out perfect. She was ready to rock and roll, come into the world. Yeah, that's my positive birth story for you guys. So, you know, I hope that encourages you, those of you that are pregnant or those of you that are looking to give birth, that not all stories are horror stories. But again, I hope that gives you a good perspective, because some stories, like I said, are just, you know, they're so bad that it just makes you feel like, oh my gosh, is it gonna be? And you know, hey, even if you end up having a bad experience, like, I believe that God will give you the grace for that. And labor and delivery, it blows my mind what our bodies can do. It's crazy. So I tried to do that as fast as possible for you guys, because again, I didn't want this video to be super lengthy, but that is her birth story, and we are loving every minute with our baby girl. And I will, in the next video, like I said, let you know how we're doing postpartum, give you some sneak peeks of, you know, our life here at home with her. And like I said, I'm doing good. I did tear, that was something I didn't mention. I did tear, it was a 2nd-degree tear. So they did have to stitch me up. I didn't feel the stitches. I didn't feel them do that. So we're healing up pretty good, and we're doing good over here at the Bracken Casa. So I hope you guys enjoyed her birth story. I hope that encouraged you. Those of you out there that needed that encouragement, maybe you're freaking out. I was freaking out. You got this. You're amazing, mamacita. Don't trip. And yeah, so that's it for this video. I will be putting out my, you know, postpartum video, how I'm healing, in probably a couple of days. And yeah, want to say bye?
Say bye, everyone. I love yous.
All right, y'all, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next video.